This conference will now be recorded.
All right, good morning, everybody. We're here at the March meeting of the Enforcement Oversight Committee. The date today is March 13th, 2024. Time right now is 9:08 a.m. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Stephanie, can you verify our meeting attendees, please?
Yes. Rick?
Present.
Brian?
Here.
And Jeff?
Here.
Okay, quorum is verified. First order of business today is, pardon me, I just lost my screen. First order of business today is to approve the Enforcement Oversight Committee meeting minutes from last month, February 7th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
So moved.
Brian with the motion.
I'll second that.
Second. And Jeff with the second. All right, Stephanie, go ahead and do a roll call vote.
All right. Rick?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries and the minutes are adopted. And with that, I'll just go ahead and pass the meeting over to Danny. I know that she's got a lot of stuff to talk to you guys about today.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to talk about unless they have specific questions, other than in this particular case, we picked this one.
Oh, Danny, I'm sorry. Can we pause for 2 seconds? I keep forgetting to do this. Rewinding just a bit for public disclosure, staff in attendance today includes myself, Chad Cook, Administrative Specialist Stephanie Perkins, and Investigator Danny Fry. Okay, now Danny, you can go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, what does that mean? If you forget to do that, I can leave? Just clarify things here. No, this particular case seemed to me to be a really good one because it's kind of representative of some of the things that we deal with, we're trying to deal with as we get rid of this nasty old backlog case. I think you're more than aware of how long that's been here and how it keeps growing like topsy sometimes for a number of reasons. These cases, this involves three cases that basically have been pending for almost 4 years, partly because of what led this individual appraiser into our mentoring for our auditing program. What was a 2019 case. And so we processed that one, put him into the CAP program, I think is what we officially call it. And he was in that for over 1.5 years before we got to these other 3 cases that you're looking at this morning. And so, as Chad's already told you, he's been very cooperative, very, very receptive to the courses that we asked him to take, to some of the other things that we've asked him to do. We've had a counseling session after each one of his quarterly audit assessments for his progress reports. There have been times he's called me over the ensuing 1.5 to 2 years now, when he's come to some of these unusual situations that he's been cited for and just wanted to make sure that he was proceeding correctly. So he's showing, improvement and a willingness to listen to what we had to say and to try to improve his work. And so it kind of seems like, okay, now that he's been through all of this and shown us some positive results, our reward for him, the old-fashioned way, is to go back and re-beat him up over these 3 old cases, which are now 3.5 years and 4 years old, as opposed to say, okay, look, these are some things we've been through before. We've talked to you about these things. These are some other things we found when we looked at these 3 cases that we need to call to your attention to make sure you're not continuing to do them as well. And let's move forward. And that's basically what we're trying to do here. And I think for me, the question I'm asking today is, at this point, does this seem like a reasonable concept that you feel comfortable encouraging us to pursue with other cases? Or is there something really bad here that you don't want us to do this? He's kind of, Chad's already told you what his expectations are. Mine is, what do you think of this? And so I tried to give you examples of what some of these documents might look like as we go through. If we're successful in Chad's negotiating the settlements for some of these older cases, these are the kinds of documents you'll see. They might be individuals, and they'll be, the things will be treated individually if necessary within there, but they won't take the staff time and effort on the back end to do the investigations and stuff like we would normally do, because we've already done a lot of that as we've gotten them into the multi-case system to start with. And it'll let us begin to address these groups of individuals as opposed to one at a time and try to get rid of that awful backlog. So unless you have questions, I won't belabor your time. So, any questions so far, or why are we doing what we're doing, or what we did, or how we propose this to work? This is the first time we've ever tried this, so we wanted, I guess, I want your blessing to move forward with this, where we're coming from, I think.
I got a couple of questions.
Hey, Rick?
Seems like a really good idea, which is not typical for government work.
We try to break the rule.
Has been any discussion with the ASC, and are any other states doing this type of process?
I don't know of any other states that's doing this particular type of process. And I could certainly defer to Chad on ASC discussions, but to my knowledge, the ASC is not going to be concerned about this, because we're doing what they have basically for years told us to do, which is to take a look at things. They didn't want us just to blow things off and ignore stuff, but how we handle things, how we solve the issues is our choice.
Correct. I'll interject real quick too. I can't say that any other states are doing this. What I can say is that I've had multiple administrators reach out through, and board directors reach out through Arrow. I've had the Arrow organization reaching out to us. Kind of just everybody all at once is trying to talk together at the state administrator and director level. What are new tools we can use? What are you doing? What are you enforcing? What can we do that's similar to you? So there's a little bit of a collaboration going on out there, because I think every state is seeing the same, maybe not the exact same backlog and issues with volume that we are, but because of recent changes or recent policy shifts at the national level, there are a good number of states out there that are backlogged like we are, trying to find ways to eliminate that. Again, address the issues in accordance with the ASC policy statements, but not take 2 years doing it, and be a little more efficient in that, we're trying to condense time and produce a similar, not the same, but a similar result. So while I can't say that every other state out there is doing this, they're all kind of thinking in the same lines of efficiency and outside the box, and how do we address things, but not pound on appraisers unnecessarily. Our job is to protect the public. That's our entire mission statement, right? And everything that comes after that is a byproduct. Helping appraisers is a byproduct of protecting the public. Addressing cases in a quick time frame is a byproduct of protecting the public. So it all stems from that. But with that in mind, we don't have to be adversarial and predatory in terms of our, calling out violations and identifying things and disciplinary actions. We do need to address and deal with those things as they occur, but the ASC does leave us quite a bit of leeway to determine how we do that. One thing that probably wouldn't be okay from the appraisal subcommittee side is, well, we had an appraiser break into a house and steal a television while he was on an appraisal, and you gave him a corrective action agreement. They probably wouldn't agree with that. But beyond that extreme example of, gross negligence or incompetence or intentionally unethical behavior, if it's process related, they want us to deal with that process error. They don't care how, well, they do care how, but they're not as micromanaging in terms of, if this happens in this violation, you must have a civil penalty of X and Y. They've got that disciplinary matrix, but again, that's voluntary for all states. So I'll quit my long-winded rant here just to say that yes, other states are trying to look at outside the box solutions like this. I don't know of anybody that is doing exactly this, but there's kind of some variation of this process out there for a number of states right now.
Are there a few cases where there's numerous allegations with one appraiser in the backlog?
In our backlog, yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I think it's great that Oregon can take a lead in that way. And of course, it's always the second mouse that gets the cheese.
Right.
So I mean, I had a concern that the appraiser was making different mistakes at different properties. It wasn't, even though they may have fallen under the same standards rule. But there's different types of properties, more complex, especially the one on 7 acres, which there's different errors that they're making in Lake Oswego. So that kind of caused me some concern. In having said that, I saw the recommendation for the classes to be taking. I just want to throw my 2 cents in there to suggest the residential market analysis and highest and best use class also, if it's not too late for that. I mean, the Appraisal Institute has that class on demand, and in July it's synchronous. So there's 2 options to take that online. For example, I'm not being specific, but to me, from what, especially that 7 acres class, and maybe the one in Gresham also, they look like they need a highest and best use education. So that's just, I just want to throw that in there.
Okay. One thing I would like to share with the committee, when I was preparing all this material that we've asked you to look at today, one of the things I did go through is I went through each of the 3 cases and looked at how many of the violations, we'll call them just for simplicity, how many of those occurred in each of the reports, and how many of there were things that were exclusive to just one of the reports, basically because of the type of property it was, or the circumstances of the assignment. And in this particular situation, just off the top of my head, I would say 70 to 75% of the violations, if you will, were very similar case to case. And then there were specific, specialized, if you will, issues depending on the individual case. Now, if that were in a situation like that, what this program would allow us to do is not only what I've shown you in writing, but also to have a counseling element to it, where if we continue to see things that have been addressed in the original case, just reminding them, hey, don't forget about these things we've already addressed. If we see new things, we can take time to talk to them about that and suggest either maybe some additional education or whatever seems to be appropriate to address those additional items as well. It gives us a little more flexibility to do what we need to do to address the problem, not just sweep them under a rug.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, boss, I guess it's your call. What's next?
Sorry about that. I was muted. Well, given given that we do have a report to the EOC here and a recommendation section, I think it would be appropriate to vote, the EOC members to vote on those recommendations. And we can call them out specifically, just for the record, if you'd like. Let's see here, the bottom of, okay, so essentially in these three cases, or what we're recommending for these three cases is essentially that the cases be closed with the appraiser being counseled on the specific issues within each preliminary examination here, as well as receive some additional education beyond the counsel from board staff concerning the compliance issues or the potential compliance issues found. I think today what we're voting on is to conditionally dismiss these three cases with the understanding that Moriarty be counseled on the specific issues and receive education related to those issues that were identified in this case analysis.
I motion to accept that, just as you stated it, Chad.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Rick.
Second.
And that's Brian with the second. All right, Stephanie, let's go ahead and do and there's Jeff. And let's go ahead and, even though we already did kind of, let's go ahead and do a roll call voice vote.
Okay. Rick,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Okay, EOC members, we'll go ahead and move ahead with that method of settlement or closure for these three cases here. And hopefully this is going to be an efficient and beneficial process, not just for us at the board, because we've got our own goals here as far as compliance and backlogs, but a tool for appraisers as well to assist them in growing and learning, so that we don't have these kinds of things happening in multi-case scenarios. So I appreciate that leeway and support from you folks. With that said, unless there's any other business, we can go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Brian with the motion.
I'll second that.
And Jeff with the second. And let's do another quick voice vote.
All right. Rick,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
and Jeff.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. The time is 9:26 a.m., folks, and the meeting is now adjourned. I appreciate all of your time. I really do. This one I know was a thick document to read, and I appreciate your patience and attention on that.
Thank you.
No
Thanks,
problem,
everybody.
Chad. Have a wonderful day.
You too,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Thanks.
See you guys later.
See you later, guys.
See y'all next time.
See ya.